What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to another action-packed edition of CPA Reviewed, the official podcast of Another71.com. As always, I am your humble host, Jeff Elliott, a licensed CPA in the state of Kansas by the grace of God and to the chagrin of many. Happy, I don't know what today is. Happy day to you. This is episode number 82. So we have done 81 of these. And so far, so good, right? It's been forever since I've done a podcast. That is my fault. If you want to be on the show, you can go to Another71.com, click in the upper nav. You can click Ask Jeff. Or if you want priority response and to make 100% sure that you make it onto the show, you can become a Ninja Monthly member and enter the dojo. For one low monthly price, you get all Ninja materials. They are no longer sold standalone or in a package. You just get everything for one low monthly price. We ninjas have adopted the SaaS model, and we are the first to do it. Ooh. All right. So let's start with this. The CPA exam score release recently came and went, and I see the same questions every score release. The same anxiety, the same troubles, because I've been doing this for 10 years, which is pretty sad. So I've been through 10 years of CPA exam score releases, which is a little bit cool, but mostly sad, like I said. So how do you survive the CPA exam score release? So one thing to note is that 50% of the people who are sitting there waiting for their scores, 50% will pass, give or take. 50% will fail, give or take. So everyone who walks into FAR, 50% will pass, give or take, 50% will fail. I think the actual pass rate's around 45% for FAR. So if you pass, you're normal. If you fail, you are normal. But I want to go through a couple of the mistakes that candidates make. If you pass, you're not done. Unless you're done, but then even still, you're still not done because you still have the ethics exam, which is almost as bad as BEC, but not quite. And then you have a lifetime of CPE so that you can continue with your CPA license. So, and CPE is slightly more worthless than the 150-hour rule. So anyway, that's another topic for another day. If you fail, it does not mean that you are, well, let's go back. If you pass, it does not mean that you are done. One mistake that I made was that when I passed FAR the first time, I was so excited that I felt like I had passed the CPA exam, so I took an entire year off. And then when I finally get my butt in gear, I had the 18-month window knocking on my door. Fast forward to 74s in a row on regulation. I am the founder and repeat member of Club 74. I lost my FAR credit. So if you pass, you're not done. Don't celebrate. Get back in there, because the longer you take to get back in and study, the harder it is. Because trust me, freedom is nice. If you fail, it does not mean that you are a failure. This is an exam. It's in a vacuum. It tests you on standardized accounting rules. They put you in a standardized environment with a microphone and video recorder on you, and they they take your fingerprint and eye scan, and they draw your blood. That's not true, but almost. And so if you fail the CPA exam, you're not a failure. It doesn't mean that you're horrible at accounting. It might mean that you just need to study more, or that you're horrible at standardized tests, or you get really nervous, or your course isn't working for you, or maybe you just didn't work hard enough, or maybe it's a combination of all of those. So if you fail, it doesn't mean that you are a failure. Also, if you fail, it does not mean that you are a few points away. If you score 73, you're not 2 points away, because you're not exam ready like you were 6 weeks ago when you took the exam, or however long it took for you to get your score. You're not 2 points away. You are 75 points away. And so there's an area, not-for-profit accounting, for instance, where you just kind of crammed it into your head just to go in and barf it out on exam day. You're not ready for that. And so you need to start over, start from scratch. You're not a cram away. Do everything that you did to get that 73. Repeat it exactly. But then maybe you need to study more. Maybe you need to go over not-for-profit accounting more. Maybe you need to add supplementary materials like the Ninja materials. They are so affordable, there's no reason why you wouldn't. So maybe you need to add some supplementary materials. Maybe you just need to study more. But you need to repeat exactly what you did to get that 73 and then hit your trouble spots more, add some more materials, do something different to get that extra 2 points. Now, if you went through CPA exam score release and you came out south of a 75 and you don't know what to do or how to study, I have the Ninja Study Planner. It is completely free and it comes with some other Ninja freebies. Click the link below this video and it will come to you, and 100% free, no obligation, but I think you will really like it and you can use it for any review course. So, all right. Let's jump into the questions. Again, you can go to another71.com, ask Jeff, and it will appear in a future edition of the podcast. I get a lot of questions, and I'm thankful for everyone who submits questions. I can't get to every single question. And so if you want to make sure that you get priority question response, join the dojo. You go to another71.com and join Ninja Monthly, and I will ensure that you get on the podcast. So Larry says, Jeff, I took the auditing exam and I'm currently waiting for my results. I wanted to seek your advice on how to use the Ninja system along with Becker to greatly improve my potential CPA exam pass rate. I have invested countless amounts of time and energy into the CPA exam and would like nothing more to complete FAR this year. So how do you use Ninja with Becker? How do you use Ninja with any other course? It really comes down to, do you want to use, well, there's 3 options. Use your main course and then supplement with Ninja. Use a few elements of your course and then use Ninja to pick up the slack, which is kind of like supplementing, but you're using more Ninja, like 50-50. Or completely ditch your course and go 100% Ninja. So if you're using Becker, well, you probably paid a lot of money for it. You don't want to ditch it. There's some aspects of it that you probably like. So maybe you watch their videos and maybe you use their MCQ software, but you start using the Ninja audio when you're commuting and you read the Ninja notes every chance that you get. And then you use the Ninja MCQ and Sims as your review tool. And if there's a weak spot in your prep, maybe you watch a Ninja Plus video. That would be supplementing Becker with Ninja. Let's say that you use a different course and you don't like it, but there's an aspect of it that you like. For instance, maybe you like their videos a lot, but you hate their software. So you would watch their videos to accomplish the N in Ninja, the nail the concept. So you'd watch the videos and then let Ninja take over the heavy lifting for the rest of the review prep. So you would go over the Ninja book to kind of scan it for a week and get a feel for the information, and then jump into the Ninja MCQ for the learning aspect. Because when you do the MCQ questions in the Sims, you do it to learn and then you do it to review. When you're doing it to learn, use Ninja MCQ to learn it, all the while listening to the Ninja audio every chance you get while you're mowing the lawn, doing the dishes, and doing the laundry, and sitting at your desk, and driving to the store, and waiting in the checkout line. Always be listening to the Ninja audio. By the way, I do dishes at my house. So if I were studying for the CPA exam, I would listen to the Ninja audio, of course. And then finally, if you want to ditch your course completely, then you can use Ninja as a standalone course. You would substitute any videos and for Nail the Concepts, you would use the Ninja book and then take intense notes over the Ninja book, do the did you hate it when your computer logs out in the middle of a video? Okay. And so take intense notes and then do the Nonstop multiple choice questions. And then you would go through the whole Ninja study framework using, so basically the Ninja book replaces any videos. And so that, and then you just walk through the Ninja study framework and then review. So that is how you would use Ninja with another course, and I hope you found that helpful. Parth says, thanks for the videos. I am interested in subscribing to Ninja for the monthly, but before I do, I want to ask you something. I'm currently taking my review courses with Becker. I've been studying for FAR and would have you and should be done with the material by next week. I mainly want to use Ninja as more of a supplementary option to review than what I've learned so far. How do you think Ninja can help me with that? I read the study planning strategy, but I want to know if that would apply to me because I've already went through much of the material with Becker. If you could please give me some guidance on when you get a chance, I would appreciate that. So that would fall under the first example. So you've been through the Becker course, and then you would use Ninja as a supplementary tool. So you would use it to, so if you took good notes with Becker, then in the J phase of Ninja, you would rewrite your Becker notes. Or if you didn't, then you can rewrite the Ninja notes. Again, listen to the Ninja audio every chance you get. Use the Ninja MCQ software as your review, and then let's say that you're weak in bonds. Then watch People Love Bob Manette, watch his lectures over bonds, and then review and take your exam. So if you are supplementing with Ninja, then the main materials that you would use to supplement are the notes, the audio, and the MCQ, and the Ninja Plus videos here and there. Or if there's a section of the Ninja book that you feel that you want to cover because you're weak in, or you didn't like how your review material covered it, then that's how you would supplement. So, all right, that was a long video about how to supplement with Ninja, and I hope you found it helpful. Elisa writes in, if my auditing score expires on April 30th, can I take FAR on April 30th and keep the credit, or does it have to be by April 29th? I'm really pushing it, I know, but living abroad does not provide much flexibility. Also, I've listened to the Ninja audio so many times that my brain was like, oh yeah, let me just throw this question over to Jeff because we've talked about all this accounting stuff so many times now. So anyway, thanks for the response, and a big thanks for Ninja. I recommend it to all my friends who are still torturing themselves, paying for an expensive course and watching their videos. Ninja Audio and Ninja Plus have been a delight to listen to and watch. Like, really, who doesn't love Bob Manette? I've listened to him so many times. I feel like y'all are my two accounting pals. Well, Bob is more like a quirky accounting uncle that you want to make proud. All right. Thank you, Lisa. So the question is, if your score expires on like the 30th, can you take your exam on the 30th, or is it the 29th? Questions like that, I would call your state board of accountancy and ask the director specifically. And then I would follow up via email. Hey, just to confirm our conversation, my score expires on the 30th. I can still take my exam on the 30th or the 29th or whatever they said, and I will be okay. That way you have it in writing. So phone conversations are great, but make sure you get it in writing. And I would also go to the Accountancy Licensing Library. I think it's offered by NASBA. It's $45 for 3 months. It's alllibrary.com. That's another option. And they have all of the up-to-date accounting licensee things for all the states. But again, I would call your board of accountancy, your state board of accountancy, and then follow up and email the director. Anthony says, hi, Jeff. I'm going to start studying for my FAR exam using your Ninja monthly plan, and I saw your post that it'll take 6 to 7 weeks, 20 hours each week, and have a good chance to pass FAR using the Ninja framework. I made my 6-week schedule and was wondering if you could let me know what you think of it. Week 1, read the Ninja book. Week 2, MCQ and Sims. Week 3, review the wrong questions. Week 4, rewrite my Ninja notes. Week 5, redo the MCQ and Sims. Week 6, do a final review. I'm sorry if my question is all over the place, but I hope I can get your opinion on it. Okay. 6 weeks is pretty tight for FAR. So if you're going to read the Ninja book in a week, that's 600 pages, 120 pages a day, 5 days a week. That's a lot. So I would try to stretch that to 2 weeks. So make 6 weeks into 7 for FAR at a minimum. For FAR, I think you need 7 to 8 weeks. So 7, I mean, if you're on a tight schedule, that's fine. But 120 pages a day, I don't think is realistic. So I would adjust slightly. All right, take a quick water break. Okay. Because my voice gets, yeah. Rachel writes in, maybe a secret question, but will you be offering any trial memberships or sneak peeks into the new Ninja Monthly Plan? Honestly, I'm not studying right now, but will be again soon. I am starting over from no past tests yet. I've been within 7 points, and I've had a concussion and 2 babies to recover from since my last test. That's a lot. Crossing fingers to study again in the fall. I've used the Ninja notes and the Ninja book and the test bank, but always wanted to try the audio and the other products. Keep up the good work and the awesome products. You rock, and one day I will rock the CPA exam too. Yes, I have a free trial or sneak peek. You can go to another71.com/free, and you can try the book, notes, audio, MCQ, as we say in Kansas, the whole shooting match. Hope that's helpful. Lucy says, my name is Lucy, and I'm new to Ninja. I just looked through the Ninja materials and the Ninja framework and the notes. The notes say I should watch my CPA review videos first before anything. By videos, is it the ones from the Ninja Blitz or my Becker lecture videos? I relied on Becker to study for auditing, but I did not pass, so now I'm confused regarding which study material I should use for my retake, which is in 4 weeks. Since time is limited, would it be a bad idea to study solely Ninja materials for my retake? Would you recommend me rewatch the Becker lectures and redo the Becker MCQs plus Ninja materials? Additionally, in terms of Ninja study, would it be a good plan to first listen to the audios without taking notes and then watch the Blitz while taking notes, or vice versa? Sorry for the questions all at once. Thank you in advance. You have 4 weeks. If you had 6 weeks, I would say watch your Becker videos again and take notes. 4 weeks, I would watch the Ninja Plus videos, especially the videos over cost accounting and financial management. And I think Bob Manette does a really good job there. I would do that. I would go over all of your Becker MCQ in the MCQ phase and spend a week on that. So I would spend a week on the Ninja videos, Ninja Plus videos. I'd spend a week on the Becker MCQ. I would spend a week I'd probably rewrite the Ninja notes, and then I would spend a week reviewing, and I would watch the Ninja Blitz videos in maybe 3 days and hammer out the MCQ, the BEC MCQ in your weak areas. I would go over some BEC Sims in the Becker test bank in your review, starting with your weakest area first in your review phase for the MCQ. So if your weakest area is cost accounting, then work cost accounting questions in Ninja MCQ, and then do that until you do 20 question mini testlets till you score in the 70s, and then move on to your next weakest topic. Maybe it's IT or whatever. And I would kind of mix and match between Becker and Ninja MCQ, and that's how I would do it for your BEC prep. You can pass BEC in 4 weeks. It'll be tight. Auditing is much easier, I think, to pass in a shortened time frame. I passed auditing in 2 weeks, not because I'm a super genius, because I failed it the first time, but I didn't study. I scored a 69 without studying, so I guess that's not too bad. And then I passed it my second time around, but I procrastinated, so I only had 2 weeks to study for it. So I actually passed auditing. I think it's irony. I passed auditing using the BISC videos, which my company now owns, which I think that is irony. I hate it when people say that's ironic when really they mean that's coincidental, but I think that really is ironic. If I'm wrong, you can shoot me an email, tell me it's not ironic. Hope that's helpful. Taylor writes in, "Hi Jeff, the score release yesterday left me on the not happy end of the spectrum. I got a 72 on my retake for auditing. The first time I took it, I got a 73, which was in December. At that point, I had just been using Glime, but a friend recommended Ninja as a supplement. You have some great friends, Taylor, very smart friends. So I got the most basic Ninja package for auditing, where I studied mostly the MCQ and Sims, notes, and flashcards. I studied for 3 weeks, retook the exam, and fell short with a 72. So, increased 9 points. I've been studying for BEC and was planning on taking that one tomorrow, but I've decided to push it back until the first week of April. If I couldn't pass auditing and studying full-time for about 6 weeks altogether, then I shouldn't expect to pass BEC after only studying for a month. Do you have any suggestions on how to study better when you failed an exam twice? In summary, I mostly focused on rereading my own handwritten notes, tons of MCQ, and rewriting lots of my own notes into more condensed blurbs, so to speak, to make it easier to memorize. Talking with other CPA candidates, I assume in the forum, it seems like we all used a relatively similar studying strategy. However, they passed and I didn't. Any suggestions would be greatly appreciated, although I wouldn't go back to studying again for auditing until I take BEC. A lot of people, when they fail an exam, they think they're a few points away, so they take shortcuts. So if you were studying for FAR for the very first time today, you wouldn't rewrite someone else's notes and do some MCQs and then go in and take it. You're kind of doing the same thing when you retake an exam and you rewrite your own notes, because there are some things that you will forget that they covered in the lecture videos that maybe you didn't write down but stick in the back of your mind, and then you go in and remember them on exam day. I would go through your materials from start to finish, and then add the Ninja materials as a supplement. But so knock BEC out, and then when you go to auditing, do everything that you did to get that. Well, when you retook it and got a 72, you basically rewrote your notes. The first time you took it, you went through your entire course. Do everything you did to get that 63, and then do everything that you did to bump it up to that 72. And then there are some weak areas, and you know what they are, I'm sure, and hit those really hard and pay special attention to your weaker areas, all the while keep hitting your strong areas so that your strong areas don't become weak areas just because you kind of let them sit there. And there's a significant short-term memory component to the exam. So make sure, even if you're strong in an area, keep reviewing it. So do everything that you did to get that 63, do everything you did to bump it up to get the 72, and then hit your weak areas extra hard. Maybe you rewrite the Ninja notes this time instead of your own notes, whatever. Watch some of the Ninja Plus videos to get over the 75 threshold. Yazan writes in, I received my CPA exam scores for FAR and REG, and I failed them for the third time. I passed my first two sections, auditing and BEC, in December of 2016, and I'm very close to losing everything. The sections that I have passed, my money and everything, there will be a delay in the score, and the next window as usual, and my credit will expire in May. I've been through the score delay twice in 2017 and now in the 2018 February window, and I want to ask you some questions and hope you can help me clarify. What should I do? And will I have another chance to pass or not? Why does the CPA designation seem impossible at times? And if I fail, will I lose everything? So basically, Yazan needs to pass FAR and regulation before May, and it's March as of this recording. And so he has the April-May window to pass FAR and reg, or he loses auditing and BEC. So what should you do? I would take FAR mid-April, and I would take regulate. I would not study for them concurrently. So I would take FAR maybe mid-April, early April, and I would take regulation like a day or two before your credit expires. So logistically, that's what you do. Exam-wise, if you fail, will you have another chance? No. Why does the CPA designation seem impossible at times? 90,000 candidates take the exam every year, give or take. Half go in and fail a section. So you're in good company. And there are people who feel like they're going to throw in the towel. There's Big Four auditors who can't pass auditing. There are people who were valedictorian of their high school and cum laude in their accounting courses. And, when they graduated from college, they had all the ribbons and everything. I never had those. And I had better things to do than study. And yet they fail. And of course, there are people who did poorly in college who do great on the exam. There's people who did great on the exam and people who did great in college who do poorly on the exam, and everything in between. But there are a lot of people out there who wonder, why does the CPA exam designation seem impossible at times? And of course, there's the whole category of people looking down their nose at everyone struggling and failing, and think that they need to have a tough love approach and say, come on, just study. What's wrong with you? Get some work ethic. And that's not really how it works. Everyone's exam circumstances are different. Some people are English as a second language. Some people have 8 kids at home and trying to study. Some people work full-time. Some people study full-time. People who study full-time, it takes a lot of discipline just to get your butt out of bed in the morning and shut off Netflix and study. I mean, I think sometimes the busier you are, the easier it is to study. Kind of like in college, people who tend to work full-time in college tend to get better grades because there's no time to goof around. Anyway, so if it seems impossible, you're not alone. If it were easy, then the job market would be flooded with CPAs, and it's already flooded as it is. So it's good that it's hard, right? And if I fail, will I lose everything? Probably, yeah. But you're talking to someone who got back-to-back 74s on regulation. I lost my FAR credit, and I wanted to blame the AICPA. I wanted to blame this. I wanted to blame that. It came down to I just didn't study hard enough, and I was kind of lazy at times, and I wasn't committed, and I like to sleep in until 7 instead of getting up at 5, and shower for 20 minutes and get out the door, whatever. And so it's very likely that you need to make some lifestyle adjustments, some exam adjustments. And I lost my FAR credit. I was 1 point away from becoming a CPA, and instead I was down to 2 sections passed. because of my 74 in reg, lost FAR, and obviously didn't pass regulation with the 74. And I had to own up to the fact that there were some areas of reg that I didn't want to study. And I went back in and I studied, and then I passed. I passed FAR, and then I repassed regulation. I think that's how I did it. And then the rest is history. And so if you fail and you lose everything and you lose a credit, I lost the worst one that you can possibly lose, which is kind of debatable, but not really. It's FAR. And I still survived. So, and you will too. Asta says, I'm terrible with names, sorry. Here's my situation. BEC, passed. It's going to expire April 2018. Regulation, 55, 60, 60. Auditing appeared in Q2 of 2018. FAR is pending. So I think that means NTS is pending. With this, I would like to request your help on two things. First, how should I improve my regulation score? I definitely need to clear all the exams in a single go each time I sit. I know that sounds weird, but any suggestions would be appreciated. Since my BEC section is expiring in a month, now I'll have one more exam to sit for, and even with the BEC, I had a struggle. I got stuck at a 72, 74, and then 75. I really don't want to see a similar pattern in the future. So BEC is going to drop off, and you've taken regulation 3 times, and the highest you've scored is 60. I think, candidly, that you're probably staring at losing your BEC credit, because unless something drastic happens, your regulation scores are 55, 60, and 60. And I would love to say, oh yeah, you can do it. And that is true. You can do it. But I think you need to prepare yourself that you're going to lose BEC. And the reason why I say that is because it seems like the end of the world. It's not. Again, I lost my FAR credit. It was not the end of the world. Prepare for the fact that you're going to lose BEC. However, you have a month left to pass regulation, and you really need to work really hard. So, but you know that, and I'm sure that you've worked hard for your 55, 60, and 60. But something is not right. And you got stuck at a 72, 74, and 75 for BEC. So what did you do? Like, ask yourself, what did you do differently for BEC that you're not doing for regulation? Is it your method of studying? Is it your review materials? Is it your intensity of studying? Like, or does tax just not click for you? I mean, I love tax, which is weird. Tax just clicks for me. I think it's because when I was getting my 150 hours, I took a master's class and a part of the master's program. I did not finish my MAC, by the way, but I took a master's in tax class, like in an advanced tax class, and I loved it because I had a really good professor. And like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So tax just clicks for me. Tax might not click for you, and then you have the whole business law aspect, which is terrible, and contracts and whatever else. So study hard for regulation. Figure out what you did differently for BEC that you're not doing for regulation. But if your BEC score drops off, you're going to be okay. Erica writes in, I find that it's taking me a really long time to go through each chapter, and I don't feel like I'm studying efficiently. I'm using Becker materials, and I'm going through the steps of watching each lecture, doing the skills practice, reviewing the module and note cards, and then doing the multiple choice questions. I repeat this for every module and every chapter. I was wondering if you had any suggestions on how to speed up my study time. I was considering going through all of the lectures of a chapter in one go, and then going back and doing the skills practice and multiple choice questions one after another. I got the idea from the live online classes and thought maybe I should apply it to my independent study schedule. Any advice would be appreciated. Yes, you just described the Ninja framework. So the way that you were going through your Becker materials is probably the way that they prescribe it. Like, watch the videos, do the questions, blah, blah, blah. Watch the videos, do the questions, blah, blah, blah. That is not, I don't know if it's effective. It probably is effective because but it's probably not as effective. It's definitely not efficient. So because you watch video 1, do questions over chapter 1, then repeat the process and you go through like 8 chapters or whatever, and then during your review you have to do those questions again. Instead, go through all of the videos. So this is the Ninja framework, and if you don't have the Ninja framework, it doesn't sound like you do, you can go to another71.com and download the free Ninja study planner. You can apply it to Becker, but the study planner is pretty cool. But as cool as a PDF about accounting study strategy can be. But get through all of your videos and then go through all of your questions, take notes over both, rewrite those notes, then review, then go in and take the exam. And that's the Ninja framework. And then if you want to sprinkle in Ninja materials to supplement, I highly recommend that you do that, but I'm extremely biased. But so follow the Ninja framework with your Becker materials, and I think that you will find that you have a lot more time on your hands, and it's a more effective study strategy. Daniel says, I would like to know if you have a plan on how I can study with Ninja and Becker. So this question is coming up quite a bit. I have Becker for regulation, but I feel like some of the explanations they are giving are confusing. I would like to try another course, so this monthly plan would be fantastic. I'm just afraid that it would confuse me more than it would help. Do you have any suggestions? I'm sure I'm not the first person that feels this way. In advance, thank you for your time. So the Ninja materials are what I call course agnostic. So if you use Roger CPA Review, he's big on mnemonics. Ninja doesn't use mnemonics. You can use Ninja with Roger just fine. You can use Ninja with Becker, Jaeger, Sargent, Wiley, whatever. Use it with any course, Lime. Because Ninja doesn't use mnemonics. Ninja's strength are the Ninja notes and the Ninja audio and the framework. And then also the affordable price. So you can plug that into any review course. And now you said that the Becker explanations are confusing. That might just be that the questions themselves are confusing and it's complicated material and you just need to study it. But if you want to, people say that when they listen to the Ninja audio before watching their main course lectures, it helps them to understand it better. So you might try that. So get the Ninja audio, or you can just go to another71.com and download a free trial of the Ninja audio, and then give that a whirl, listen to it in your car, see if you like it, kind of a try it before you buy it type of deal. Emily writes in, I have CPA Excel from a few years ago and it's still active as I haven't had time to hunker down and take the exams since I purchased it. Would I be adequately prepared if I were to switch exclusively to the Ninja plan, or should I try to continue to implement the Ninja materials with CPA Excel? Hey, you already paid for it, and I think they offer the updates until you pass, so you might as well use both. So I would use your CPA Excel lectures, and I would use their questions. Then I would add, so with the Ninja Monthly, I would add the Ninja notes and start reading those as many times as possible. Add the Ninja audio to your study arsenal. Listen to it in the car, at the gym, whatever. And then I would use the Ninja MCQ as your review, and the Ninja trending score gives a pretty accurate representation of where you stand. I think we've had over 500 people report back their Ninja trending score versus their actual exam score, and it's pretty close. I mean, some people are way off, and some people are way off on either side. They were trending 92, but they scored a 75, or they were trending 63, but they scored a 75 or whatever. But getting rid of those outliers, and the average is right around, it's pretty spot on. So I think you will like that. Michael says, Jeff, when you and the ninjas talk about rewriting notes, do you mean retyping or actually handwriting? I've always held that physically rewriting your notes by hand helps you to memorize it better, helps you to kind of wade through the material, let it marinate a little bit in your brain. But, that's just anecdotal evidence. So I looked it up. And according to the Journal of Psychological Science, writing by hand causes you to think about the material when you're taking the notes live during a lecture versus typing them out. So if you are listening to a lecture and you are writing them out, you can type faster than you can write. Most people can. And so when you type them out, you tend to type everything out. Whereas when you take notes by hand, you tend to sift through what they're saying and write down the important things. So you soak the information in. And I think that when you rewrite your notes, the same thing happens. So instead of taking the ninja notes and typing them out, I would rewrite them in shorthand, make little fact nuggets out of it. And so I would rewrite them instead of typing them. So there's anecdotal evidence, and then I think there's official scientific evidence. So that's what I would do. Kevin writes in, hi, Jeff. I might become a ninja, but I have an important question to ask. Are you truly a black belt? LOL. Kevin, yes, I am a black belt in Sangam Taekwondo. I've been doing it for about 8 years. I'm not that great at forms, and I'm so-so at weapons, on the not so good side at weapons. There's people a lot better than me. But I really like to spar. So when I enter a tournament, I don't do forms or weapons. I just go there to fight. And I've been kicked in the head more than I probably should. But how this question applies to the CPA exam, I don't know. If I had to choose between taking FAR again or testing for my black belt for my first degree, it would be a toss-up because, think about like the most intense 2 or 3 hour workout you can think of, and then double it, and that's how black belt testing was. And so you have to spar a bunch of times, and then you have to when you test for your black belt in my school, you have to you have to fight your instructor in a full contact match, and he's a 6th or 7th degree, and he's also like the local amateur MMA champ in his weight division. So so he just like steamrolled me. However, I did manage to break his tooth because he I don't know, he got distracted or whatever and forgot to put his mouthpiece in, and I managed to slip a punch in, and I somehow broke his tooth when I punched him in the face. So anyway, when I saw him a couple weeks later, I said, "Hey, what happened to your tooth?" And I guess it was me. But he totally dominated me in our little skirmish, and my wife was there, and she was tempted to yell, "Sweep the leg," but as I was getting pummeled, but she didn't. So anyway, it's always fun to get your butt kicked in front of your spouse, but that's okay. It breeds humility, I promise. But yeah, I would probably rather take FAR again than test for my black belt. I really like jiu-jitsu, and I'm not that great at it, but I enjoy watching it, and I subscribe to Flow Grappling because I like to watch. I like watching submission grappling even more than I like watching the UFC. So I'm terrible at jiu-jitsu, but I really enjoy watching it. So again, I don't really know how that applies to CPA exam, but maybe it's an interesting story. Thanks, Kevin. Sona says, I'm using Roger CPA Review, and except for 2 chapters, I've done all of the MCQs and chapters of Roger. My exam's coming up. I'm really worried about losing confidence because I think I will not be able to do the review in 7 days. By tomorrow, I'll be finishing the rest of my chapters, business combinations and governmental. I bought Ninja Monthly for FAR, and it has around 1,500 MCQs plus 67 sims. Would you please suggest how to wrap up the material in 7 days and finally be confident on exam day? My regulation score is expiring mid-April. Before that, I have to pass FAR. I scored 74 back in 2016. In auditing, I scored a 59 in December of 2017 and a 72 in January. Please give me some tips and advice on what to focus on, exactly what to do at the situation. I don't work. I study from every day from 9 in the morning to 10 p.m. with an hour break. So you have 7 days left, and using Roger, two chapters left, plus Ninja Monthly, I would get through your Roger materials in 2 days. 1 chapter each day, just boom, go through it. And then I would read the Ninja notes as many times as possible. I would have your earbuds in your ear 24/7 so you can be listening to the Ninja audio nonstop, because it's like a fire hose of information. Just keep absorbing what you can. I would just start firing away on Ninja MCQ and working your topics weakest to strongest. So if you're weakest on governmental and not-for-profit, start with those, score into the 70s, and then move on, like bonds, pensions, whatever. Just keep hammering the Ninja MCQ. And again, keep listening to the Ninja audio and Ninja notes. And I think that's the best you can do in 7 days. So I wish you well. Sony says, I'm a Ninja student who has now passed all 4 sections in the process of obtaining my license. I am short 30 credits to the 150-hour rule, and I was wondering if you know how I can use my recently completed CIA qualification towards obtaining this remaining 30 credits. Please help if you have any idea around this. Thanks in advance. My guess is that if you are 30 credits short, your CIA stuff isn't going to help you much, because while some of the other certifications are pretty friendly, like if you pass the CPA exam, then you're exempt from, XYZ certification exam number 1. You can jump ahead to number 2. But the CPA exam doesn't work like that. They don't say, oh, you're a CIA, you can forego the internal auditing section of auditing. It doesn't work that way. And I don't think it's going to help you with your 30 credits at all, because 30 credits are 30 credits, and having another certification will not help. What I would do is I would figure out what types of classes you're going to take. And I think NASBA has some transcript evaluation services. Above all else, I would call your State Board of Accountancy. And whenever you have a question, and this applies to anyone, get it directly from the director of your State Board of Accountancy exactly what you need to do. And I wouldn't rely on some third-party website or whatever. I'd get it straight from the Board of Accountancy, because they are going to be the one that determines whether or not you're eligible to get your license. So I hope that's helpful. Baruch says, hope I pronounced that right. Would you know what I need to know about measurement methods generally in fair value, specifically on the exam? I believe they're talking about FAR. Well, to answer this question, I just went directly to the Ninja notes. So I think that's because if it's in the Ninja notes, you need to know it. And so I'm going to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to go through what the Ninja notes have to say. So for inventory measurement, you need to know the lower of cost or market, and that it applies to the LIFO and the retail method. And the lower of cost or net realizable value applies to FIFO and average cost, so to speak. And pretty much everything not LIFO or retail. Now, the asset measurement and valuation methods, you have the present value, future cash flows, historical cost, replacement cost, market cost, net realizable value. So The present value of future cash flows is the current value of a future rate of money, future amount of money, and it uses a specific interest rate. So what I'm going over here, like these are your little exam nuggets. So again, lower of cost or market applies to LIFO and the retail method. Lower of cost or net realizable value applies to FIFO and average cost, and anything not LIFO and retail method. And the present value of future cash flows going to valuation methods. It uses a specific interest rate. Historical cost is your asset cost net of depreciation and amortization. A lot of this is probably review. Replacement cost is an entrance cost. It's the cost to reacquire an asset. The market cost is an exit cost. It is the sale price of an asset. And net realizable value is the sale price of an asset minus any selling or disposal fees. Then you have your fair value hierarchy. You have your level 1, 2, and 3. Level 3 is the top level. It's the most authoritative. It uses price quotas or market prices like the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ. Level 2 is mid-level. It uses interest rates like the prime rate. And level 3 is your lowest level. They are unobservable, and they uses assumptions or forecasts. Then you have some acceptable valuation techniques. Your market approach, income approach, and cost approach. The market approach, you take the market transactions or the market transactions or the prices, they value the asset. It's whatever the market is for the asset. The income approach is it uses present value and it discounts earnings. And the cost approach, it's the replacement cost values the asset. So I hope that's helpful. If you found that helpful, you can always get the Ninja Notes, and they are a part of the Ninja Monthly platform. All right. Here's a question, and I don't have it written down who it was from, but we'll proceed. Okay, so Jeff for FAR went through a Wiley book and did all of the MCQs and simulations. It took forever. I bet it did. But I think I really learned the materials, and I actually don't know if I passed or not, but assuming I did, we'll see. Knock on wood. Now I want to bang out the rest in an efficient way. Taking auditing now. I've seen your article and video on how to use just the Ninja materials. I've subscribed to your Ninja products. I have a couple questions. Should I go through the Ninja books? About 500 pages each. 500 pages each. And he has an exclamation point. Yeah, they're 500 pages each, but that's about each Ninja book, give or take, is 30 to 50% less. Less pages than the leading CPA review book. So it's still a lot thinner. Or can I get away with just rewriting the Ninja notes and maybe supplementing with the audio and moving on to the MCQs? I would go through the Ninja book. If you're going to use Ninja as your base course, then yeah, I would go through the book. At least skim it. If your answer is yes, should you go through the Ninja books? Should I take my own notes for each section or read a section, copy down the Ninja notes, or do some combination? I would take notes over the Ninja book and then read the Ninja notes as many times as you can. Then when it comes time to rewrite your notes, I would rewrite the notes from the Ninja book and study those and study the Ninja notes. So hope that's not getting too confusing. Number 3, sounds like the videos are something extra that some folks like, but not necessary if you're using the book audio notes. Yeah, the Ninja Plus videos, the hotspots, they are extra. They are not 100% necessary. If you have the Ninja book and the Ninja notes and the audio and the MCQ, they're not necessary or not critical, but I think they are very helpful. So especially if you want to just attack one particular topic. Again, the goal is to be as efficient as possible and pass. I just want to take my time with FAR, but not so much with the rest. Study for FAR for 7 to 8 weeks, max. Hope that's helpful. Natalia writes in, I'm about to begin studying for the CPA exam. I graduated college in 2015, and I feel like I've forgotten everything I've learned. That is normal, by the way. I've watched countless videos on CPA exam tips, joined study groups, and even received a Wiley 2016 FAR book from a coworker for free. I'm lost as to where to begin, how to break down the book to study in the sections, and etc. I have to say that it all seems quite intimidating, but I want to get it all behind me. Sure, I would love to buy all the possible materials to help me study, but on a finance intern budget, obviously that's unrealistic. I've considered just buying one book at a time and MCQs. That way I don't put myself in debt in the long run. I could end up spending more money. Any advice would be helpful and appreciated. I would not use a 2016 FAR book from any provider. And I think you need the updated stuff, especially with revenue recognition. Like, I think if you go studying a 2016 book, that's a mistake. But thankfully, marketing alert, if you use Ninja Monthly, you don't have to, and it's one extremely low fee, and you get everything. So you don't have to pick and choose what you want. You just get everything, and you can use them as you see fit. Notes, video, book, audio, flashcard app, you name it. So if you're on a budget, I think that's the perfect plan for you. And again, I would not use hand-me-down 2016 books. If you want to do that for BEC, I think you can probably get away with it. For the other sections, I would not. Hi, Jeff. Glad to see there is a Christian gentleman behind the website. I feel blessed and grateful. I just want to give you a brief background about myself. I'm currently a stay-at-home mom with a busy household studying full-time for the CPA exam and try to figure out whether this is truly my calling. I sat for my very first exam, auditing, on January 25th, and I'm waiting for the results. So this is an older question. I can honestly say that I don't know how I did on the exam. All I know is that halfway through the exam, I started to panic because I realized I was running out of time. To say the least, I was shell-shocked afterwards, shaking uncontrollably when I got to the car, not knowing whether or not to scream or cry. That night when I got home, after crying it off and isolated myself from my loving and supportive family, I found your site. I was immediately comforted by the comments and I found regarding the aftermath of an exam. 2 weeks have passed since auditing, and I'm studying for financial. I feel like I'm overwhelmed again, and I just got started. I'm stumbling a bit in accrual accounting, and I understand that I need to know this, but by heart, to help me in the exam, as well as when I start working in the profession. I have Wiley CPA Excel Platinum and can't afford another review course. The mentor has not been very helpful, unfortunately. Can you please advise me on accrual income accounting and how to easily grasp the concept without being overwhelmed? I feel discouraged at the rate I'm going. Please help. If you're not satisfied with your mentor, I would just contact the company. Wiley is a good company, and I have a lot of good contacts there. So they are good folks. So I would let them know that. As far as learning accrual accounting, it's, that's one of the basics, obviously. So how do you learn the basics? A quick and easy way, and try not to spin this into, hey, buy my stuff. But in the BISC hotspots, it's actually Ninja Plus. There's an entire video, I think it's over an hour, of accrual accounting simulations, where we go through simulations with accrual accounting. So I don't have it available as part of the demos. Maybe someday I will, but it's definitely a part of the Ninja Monthly plan. So there's that. But you've already invested the money in Wiley CPA Excel, and I would contact them and say, hey, I'm struggling with accrual accounting. I can't say it. I'm studying with accrual accounting, and I need your help. And please point me to which video in your Platinum Review course that will help me to better understand accrual accounting. And so feeling overwhelmed and freaking out and feeling like you're helpless, we've all been there. And the exam is very stressful, especially when you're a stay-at-home mom with a busy household. And, especially if you have little kiddos around, you can be studying for 3 minutes and then you hear, Mom. So anyway, as a self-employed dad of 8, I know all about that. So anyway, hang in there. Contact your review course. I think they can be helpful. And again, if you want to get Ninja Monthly, we have some videos in there as well. But I think you'll be all right. And I have a bonus question. Michelle says, Jeff, no question, just thank you for Ninja Monthly. This is an amazing way to utilize the Ninja program. Thank you, Michelle. And I didn't have to include that, but I really wanted to, so can't imagine why. All right, well, that does it for this episode of CPA Reviewed. And if you want to be on the next podcast, you can submit your questions to Ask Jeff. Go to the topofanother71.com. Or if you want to jump to the front of the line, join Ninja Monthly. You get Ninja Notes, audio, flashcards, book, MCQs, Sims, MCQ audio, Ninja Plus videos, hotspot videos, and our new social community and study groups and all of the good stuff, all for one low monthly price. And again, your question will jump to the front of the line. Until next time, everyone, be good, take care, and I will talk to you soon.